Session recording. Okay, so which replay are we going over?
I actually just played 2 games, so like that's an hour ago. So I think both won, but I like so this is what I found. I actually like recently just it's weird when I play Moira. It's sort of like for some reason I don't feel like I can impact the game as much. It's like pretty much just heal and heal, and so like the win or loss sort of like depends on my teammate like a lot of times.
That
So. Mhm.
I would say that means that you possibly playing Moira wrong because Moira has a lot of impact in the game right now. She's probably one of the most broken characters.
I see. So even though both games are winning, I think I made like so.
Okay.
We can start from Route 66. Yeah, it's actually a very close one. Yeah.
Traveling to Route ready for battle.
I'm gonna turn on your sensitivity again. Sorry about that.
Oh, for sure.
The UI for me.
Yeah.
I might at like 3.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Staying out of trouble?
4, 3, 1. Attackers incoming. Escort the payload.
Get back in the fight.
Contain the payload. Tracer here.
The name's McCree.
See through the dragon's eyes.
This will only hurt for a minute.
For your safety, please defend the back.
So the only problem with going for a nade like this,
Mhm.
is that your team cannot follow up on it at all. So even though you got 3 purples, you can see top left. Because they're on the high ground and your team's still at like this position, they can't actually follow up on any nades that you get in. So that nade could have been better used if you saved it to use it for when they actually for like when they're here. Because then if you nade these 2, then they're cut off, like they're not next to their team. And then your team can much easier punish them
I
because
see.
they're
Okay.
close to your team. So when you go
I
for
see.
sleeps and nades,
Hmm.
if the sleep or the nade is so far away that it can't be punished, then it could have
Mhm.
just been better used if you saved it.
Okay. So the intention for me, from me, was it or just sort of like to basically to force them to hide a little bit. That was my thinking. So if I name them, they
Yeah.
maybe not be able to like be aggressive. They might have to play passive a little bit. So we might be able to get some positional advantage. That was my thinking. So maybe yeah. Okay.
So that's okay, but the
Mhm.
only issue is then they just hide and then they come back and you don't have the ability up. So it's basically just getting rid of one of your abilities. Same thing like if you hit a sleep there on the high
Mhm.
ground, it doesn't really do anything. Like you
Mhm.
can't punish it, and then you just don't have sleep for when the fight actually starts.
I see. Okay.
Don't move. Get in here.
Uh,
See that which is
So this is something that's really weird because in the game I did not see the shield. Like was a transparent like totally. So for some reason I actually got confused quite a bit. So in a game when I play the game, there was a transparent net. I did not see
shield-
all this shield. Yeah,
so the shield was transparent.
exactly. So I did not. I actually got confused why they weren't native.
Oh, like that. So you couldn't see through that.
Yeah. So I guess it's probably just because that was the first game. Maybe you didn't load properly. Like yeah.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes. Like rendering doesn't load in.
Mhm.
Alright, so that basically just came from because you had the glitch. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Healed up.
So right now I was already thinking about switching to Moira because
You're covered.
I find like the team's taking a lot of damage, and then I was trying to just build a nano
Hold up. Get in there.
and then just try to force like basically I just want to try to use a nano to win this fight and then switch to Moira. That was my thinking.
Okay, so
Mhm.
did I send you a nano priority list? And no, it does not look like it did. Okay, I'm gonna send this to you real quick. Second. I know where I have it. Ah, here it is.
Mhm.
Okay, and it didn't send. Okay. Okay, so this is my rough draft, and of course this isn't the right one. Oh wait, what the? Is it? Maybe I have it somewhere else. Sorry, my bad. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
No
looking for
worries.
something. Okay, here it is. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Alright, so this is my rough nano priority list. So basically, Orisa is not a good nano target. So you very, very rarely want to ever nano Orisa because she
Mhm.
doesn't have high primary damage and she doesn't have a good ultimate combo with it. Those are the two things that you're looking for. So high primary damage or good ultimate combo. And Orisa doesn't have either of those. Better characters on your team for nano would either be a Wrecking
Hanzo.
Ball or I'd
Mhm.
probably say a McCree. Probably not Hanzo because with Hanzo, like it gets really really weird when you have a damage boost on projectile like on Hanzo because you have to think about like how like it doesn't like sorry my words aren't working but like you can't really like 75% charge a shot so that you're getting that faster shot. So Kree's just better with a nano
I
than
see.
Hanzo is because it's gonna be
Okay.
harder to utilize it as Hanzo.
I didn't see clearly on the photo like it. The red says good combo, right? Good combo, and then
Yep.
what does the purple say?
The purple says let me look at the purple's yeah, it looks like this is good primary, so it's like blending in with the background.
Oh, okay. I
So
see.
like
So,
the characters where their primary fire or primary abilities combo well with it.
okay. So at that moment, I should probably just nano the ball
Yep,
when
nano ball or nano
if
Kree.
it goes in. Okay. Okay. Alright.
It's just that Orisa's not that great of a nano target.
Yeah.
Second, okay. Sorry. Okay, so you got pulled into a pulse, not much you can do there. So we're swapping over to Moira.
Yeah, but I should win the fight then somehow. Yeah.
Science will reveal the truth. Allow me to
I don't
repair
really
the
have a lot of hours on this hero. Like, I only start to play Moira this season just simply because like, I now like a lot of times wasn't working. So maybe like yeah, so you can even like very basic mistake you can help me call out because I'm not like 100% familiar with this hero. Just like like the meta has to require it.
Yeah, so first
Yep.
off,
Allow me to repair the
70% of the time you're throwing an orb, it's going to be a damage orb. The only times that you should be throwing healing orbs are if someone's critical. You're trying to heal from a distance, which you're close enough
Allow
to
me to
just like
repair
walk
the
up next to him.
damage.
He's not in immediate danger, so that orb's not necessary.
Mhm.
And or if you already have your ultimate. Why you want to be throwing damage orbs is because it's very good ult
Charging.
charging at a distance and it's very good damage spam. So you're gonna get a lot more value off of throwing it. Plus most of the time you're not gonna need more than your primary healing anyways.
Okay.
It's been there in a
Taken the
host.
payload. See that which is unseen.
You just try to heal him through a wall.
No, I like so it was in the com. It was in the com, and I say ball like just but the ball said like he wants to go in. I said let me heal up, and then he said I'm going first. So that's why like so that's why like, I sort of like okay.
The enemy is here.
So there again you're throwing healing orbs.
Hardly.
Okay, so here you're tapping people that are full health. Unless somebody is below 75 HP, you should be tapping them because she has heal over time effect, kind of like with Ana, where you shoot someone and then over time it heals them. It's like that, except for slower. So if you tap somebody, you can just look away and it'll keep healing them. So most of the time, you're going to be looking for damage. If they drop below 75 health or HP, sorry, then 75% of their health, not 75 HP. So if they drop below 75% of their health, then you can start hard pocket healing them. But before that, your main goal is just damaging. Like here, like you're playing very passive, you're healing people that are full health, and you're not really damaging anybody. You're very sparingly throwing damage orbs, and playing like this is gonna be why you feel like you don't have any impact on the game. It's because you're playing passive and you're not playing for the damage.
Okay.
Moira has
yeah.
good.
Keep going. Hello.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the
keep going,
reason why Moira is so good in this meta is because of her ability. It's her ability to survive, but then also it's her ability to go through shields. Her ultimate
Okay.
charges.
Quick question. Are you recording this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, so the Moira is because it's good for damage, right?
Yep, good for damage through shields. That's gonna be a big part of it. So again, like, watch health bars. Like, number one thing is watch health bars, and if they're high health, no reason to be healing. You tap and look away. Tap, look away.
My keen analytical mind detects a pattern.
So where should I position in general as Moira? Should I be alongside the tanks, or should I?
With the biggest bulk of your team, because one, it protects yourself, and two, it allows you to heal your team whenever needed. So you want to be like kind of behind the biggest bulk of your team as possible. So if, let's say, this shouldn't be happening, but let's say your main tank goes off somewhere else, or another tank goes off by themselves, you want to stay with the most people as possible, so that you're healing the most people as possible.
I'm on fire.
I see.
All evidence supports this claim.
So is this position correct? Like basically
Yes, this is-
follow
Yep,
okay.
that's fine.
See through the dragon's
My will made
Good
real.
job, team. Let's keep it going.
I will rebuild.
Step right
So like, they're on this ball. Since he's a little bit lower, you can stay healing him for a little bit longer. So you kind of you walk away from him when he still needs, like, that is like half health. That means that you heal him up like a couple, so you like maybe shoot him for like 3 seconds and then you can look away. There you just tapped him for 1 second and then you looked away. That's what you should be doing when people are full health, not half health.
I will rebuild.
So and then you
Okay.
come and focus on your team, and you're healing people who are again full health. This is not situations where you need to be healing. This is where you want to be damaging.
So so where should I make do the damage at this moment? Like so I saw my damage orb earlier, or is that so like basically how should I make damage the enemies at this moment? Like should I
You
take
stand
the
behind-
flank row? Okay.
You stand behind shield and you just damage them like a DPS would.
Oh.
So
Okay.
unlike Ana, so this is good Ana positioning, because on Ana you don't want to be, you're not really a big damage dealer, so you want to be taking angles like this, and then if
Yeah.
you need to go on a flank. But with
Yeah.
Moira, you play more like a DPS, where you stand behind your tanks and you just straight up shoot people.
Oh. Okay. Alright.
So at this moment, like, and you should also be spamming orbs at like off cooldown. So every time that you get an orb, you throw an orb, and then that's gonna be getting your ultimate every single fight. If you're not getting ultimate every single fight on Moira, then you're not playing Moira correctly.
Understood. Okay.
And then like also like this is kind of like, I say this at higher ranks, especially like when people are kind of like going, "Oh, I have 4 gold medals on Moira. What are you doing?" I go, "If you don't have 4 gold medals on Moira, then you're throwing, because that's kind of Moira's job in this meta. She should be the one with every single gold, besides maybe objective time."
Yeah. I think in both.
Oh, your mic started. Can you repeat
sorry,
that?
sorry.
Your mic started
Yeah.
cutting out.
Yeah, I think in both competitive games like I just played, I think I only have heal gold and a bronze or silver damage. I think.
Yeah, that's probably indicating that you're not damaging enough, which we already talked about. Like you should like there shouldn't be a reason why you're going to cart here. You should just constantly be right clicking and throwing damage orbs, and then healing if your team needs it.
Yeah, because okay. So I was deciding whether I should push a payload faster, but then I realized it doesn't make any like sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're up here damaging, then you get your 70 off. Like if you spent the entire time damaging, then you have Coalescence by now,
Hmm.
and then you
I
have
see.
Coalescence to win that, and then you have that during next fight.
I see. Okay. So I play way too passive. So
Yep.
I basically play Moira like Ana. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you play Moira like Ana, but you should be playing Moira like you play a DPS. Why is it not giving
Okay.
me? Okay, there it is.
Okay.
Warning. Engaging the enemy.
Like
Okay.
yeah.
This is. I'd probably
Mhm.
say don't go on flanks because flanks aren't gonna get you a whole lot of value. Like it's different than like again you're doing your Ana thing where you're flanking like
Yeah.
you're on Ana, but
Hmm.
different that like what's different is you don't have long range healing. So if you're right here and then they push in on your team, then you have to use Fade to get back to your team, which is wasting an ability, and then you're down an ability and your team needs healing. So going on flanks like this, where like what you could have done was just stand main and just right click at people and throw an orb straight down main. You basically don't have to be as afraid because you have more survivability on Moira. So then, like there, you saw again, you had to use Fade to get back to your team, so that wastes Fade,
Yeah.
and then it also means that you're not with them during the
This
fight.
is the
If they
condition.
push that faster, which higher level teams will push that faster, then
Mhm.
your team could die because they don't have you.
Makes sense.
So on
Makes
Moira,
sense.
you should very rarely be leaving your team. Whereas
Mhm, mhm,
Ana, you go for the flanks to get hard carry like nades and sleeps and stuff. You
Those-
fade that
yeah.
much quicker because because you have fade there. As soon as you see you going up, just spam fade because that
Okay.
means that you don't. Because while you're up in the air, people can very easily shoot you.
Mhm.
So which is what happens. You get down to 1 HP. So while you're right here, you have fade. You fade out of this, and you don't lose. You don't go down to 1 health because right
Mhm.
now everyone can shoot you very easily because you're above
Mhm.
shield and you're also about to drop. So
Okay, so that I think that was my understanding wrong. So like originally I was thinking maybe I think that's my habit. Like so when I get out by Sigma, I was thinking maybe because I have shift, right? Maybe I can take damage for the team a little bit. And that's what I was thinking. Maybe like when they shoot me like once or twice and then fade out, so that like the teammates might not be the targets.
I wouldn't say that that's a good strategy because what you could do alternatively, which is just a better strategy, and means that you're taking as your job as a support isn't to take damage. Your job as a support is to heal people who take damage. So if instead you're not trying to be a tank, which you're very squishy, so you're gonna die very fast, which is what happens. Your health just
Yeah.
disappears.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
you instead fade out and then just heal the people who are midair,
Mhm.
then you're there. Like everyone overall has a much better chance of surviving.
I see.
Because right now, because you did that, you're at a serious risk of dying, and I wouldn't be surprised if you die right after you come out of fade.
Get into
You
position.
don't because they didn't push that. Again, higher level teams will push much more aggressively with a
Yeah.
Sigil, especially when it gets people
Yeah.
that low. But
Surrender to my
yeah,
will.
like the biggest thing there is you fade out and then you heal whoever's up in it.
Yeah. And then I think I made the biggest mistake here. So I did not choose to heal or just keep playing.
Okay, yeah, I'll show.
Yeah.
So when you are,
Yeah.
you're coalescing,
Mhm.
the best way
Surrender
to
to my
not have
will.
to choose between damaging and healing is to go stand right behind your Orisa. And then if you stand behind your Orisa, you can kind of rotate around her while you're damaging. And then that way you're healing as well as damaging without having to put any thought into the healing because you're already behind her.
Yeah.
So if you just kind of use positioning to position behind the tank or behind the main bulk of your team or behind, like, let's say, a Bastion, something like that, then you're just healing while damaging at the same exact time. And you don't have to let your Orisa die or even think about healing the Orisa. You're just automatically healing her.
Let the dragon consult.
So like get behind the tank when you're using coal.
Shohei
Not saying that you
Mahalo.
have to stay behind them the entire duration of the coalescence,
Mhm.
but if they like run away, then you can chase. But for like a big bulk of it, a lot of the time, a good way to not have to think about the healing is to just stand behind them.
Regenerating your cellular structure.
Because then, if you're standing behind them, then you can line up people. But if you're standing
Mhm.
off to the side, then you have to choose one or the other. And you don't want to have to choose one or the other because then you're not getting optimal value.
The payload
Makes
moves
sense.
towards our
Totally.
desired outcome. Your power is mine.
Oh, and
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
so a lot of the time, I'm seeing you tap healing for no
Mhm.
reason. Like if you just watch this whole thing replay, watch
Yeah.
how you tap healing when everyone's full health, and then
Mhm.
you even tap healing on like you just still heal objects. Like you don't even look at a person when you do it. That's
Mhm.
just gonna turn down your resource meter and make it like watch these taps. Like what's that on? What's that on? What's that on?
The
Yeah.
payload
So
has
so there's no reason to pre-heal people as Nora, right? So like
You
it's
can pre-heal people. Oh, sorry, you
you
can
know.
pre-heal people, but it's like those taps are too pre-healing. Like it's the fight's not happening. No one's low health. That's like basically like the fight's over and
Mhm.
you're just healing people and you're also just healing like the cart. You're healing the cart, you're healing the rock. Like these things aren't things that you need to be wasting your resource meter because now you're going into the fight with
Once
a third
yeah.
less of your
Yes.
resource meter. And
Mhm.
then the other thing is this is time you could have been spent like that could have been spent damaging if you push up to where your Orisa is. I'm pretty sure your Orisa's pushed forward. Or no, she's not any she's not really, but you could have pushed forward a little bit and done damage.
Oh.
This is my will. Allow me.
So not orb. I was trying to check if like, whether there's a flanker, but is that the right way to use it? Maybe not. Right? So like the orb, I was like my intention was to check whether there's a flanker back there.
That's an okay way to use orb, but when you're you have to think about their team comp, and their team comp probably is gonna have a flanker. So like whenever did we talk about team comp, like how comp dictates how you play last time?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you want to look at the team comp and go, okay, will they have anybody who wants to flank? And
Mm-hmm.
the only
McCree.
one would be a McCree, and
Yeah.
you can just very easily check to see if he's flanking by seeing if he's in the front line or not. Like if is he with their team? If he's not with their team, then you know he's on a flank.
Yeah. The Reaper flanks all the time, right? The Reaper always trying to get to the back line, no
Yeah.
matter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Allow me.
I need a doctor.
So spamming shields, because in this meta, shields just don't really go down. This is, I guess, this will change in like a week when shields break much faster. Then you can do this. But
Mhm.
at the moment, you probably never want to be shooting at shields, and shooting at shields isn't a good habit to have. Instead,
Mhm.
you try to hit people who are like right along the edges who peek past shield so that you're actually getting ult charge, because shooting the shield doesn't get you any value damage or ult charge wise.
So where should I position right here? Should I to go to the right side and then just like to sort of like damage the whoever's at the door? Should I like aim at the door instead?
So if you stand exactly where you're standing,
Mhm.
so like if you stand right here, exactly where you're standing, you
Mhm.
can both heal, turn to the left and heal, and turn to the right and damage at the exact same time, because you can just look through the doorway if people are there. Like you don't have to really go on a flank. Like you don't, unlike Ana, you don't have to choose. You don't have to choose between damaging and healing. You just kind of do both at the same time.
Mhm. Okay.
So you can both, like, you just kind of, once you see that your team's low, then you turn to heal them. But otherwise, you're just looking for tiny little off angles that you can get behind shields with.
I messed up the shift. So like I think I hit the border of the door. I was trying to get behind the door.
So yeah,
And then,
so you got Maywald there.
Mhm.
But you ran away from your Orisa and your Baptiste. Baptiste and Orisa can protect and heal you. Whenever people push you, don't run away from your team. Run towards them. Stay with them. Because you can protect and heal each other and shield each other. But because you ran away from your teammates, then you get frozen and then you die. And then Baptiste and Orisa both got out. Look, you don't see them dead. Oh, I guess Baptiste didn't, but Orisa's out.
Yeah.
So if you went with your Orisa and Baptiste, then you would have lived that.
Mhm.
Perhaps a new methodology is required.
Yeah.
So your
Perhaps
Healing
a new
orb again,
methodology
so,
is
like,
required.
the
I was
geometry, yeah, the geometry here doesn't even line up. Like it doesn't bounce to it's very unlikely that this even gets to the hog. So you're just better off trying to run around and heal him, and then you die. I guess did you actually? I think you did get healing off the hog. Maybe I'm wrong.
Perhaps a new methodology is required.
Oh, yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess I wasn't like, that's totally not right to just like peek and look at the door this way, right? It's too
Yeah.
unsafe. I should probably shift to the other side, right?
Or you can just
walk the longer
what
road.
you do is you don't expose your head to get headshot, so you can look down to the right. As you cross, you can jump over so that your head's over the doorway. Spam crouch. You just don't walk straight. You don't walk across while staring at them.
Yeah. I think another mistake right over here. Yeah.
So look at. Oh, sorry, I exited, but I guess that we can look at this exited.
Yeah.
So we'll look at this now. Look at where you are in comparison to your team. So Baptiste is with you, but 2 other players on your team are over here. So
Yeah.
that means that you're not with the main bulk of your team, which is why this doesn't get values, because they just flashbang you. So you need to be right here, not over main. Follow your team, and you're gonna get more value.
Yeah. I think that's my Ana habit. Like I sometimes when I play Ana, I don't follow like the bulk of the team. I go like 45-degree
So-
flank route. Yeah.
When you're on Ana, you want to follow your team, but what you do is you take off angles. So off angles is like when you're standing. You can see my mouse, right?
Yes.
Off angles is where you're standing like right here, and so you're with your team, but you take 3 seconds to walk up the stairway and get a nade off, and then you walk back. It's a safe flank, but you're just going through a different window to get shots off from a different direction.
I see.
This isn't, if you're here with Ana or you're here with Moira, this isn't an off angle, this is a flank, or this is just not staying with your team. You can't heal your team if they're up there. You're putting yourself in a bad position where you can get very easily pushed, which is what happens and you die.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you die. Creed
I
doesn't.
think-
Okay, better player. You will die to better players. Is
Yeah,
my
for sure.
correction.
Yes.
I'm very sad that he didn't kill you.
I thought I was dead. Like basically, like I thought I'm dead for sure, and then for some
Dead
reason.
end.
Yeah. So you stay with your team even if you're on there. Like you should never be hard or like very rarely be hard flanking, especially on like rarely on Ana, and never with Moira.
Okay.
Like see how much more value you get here when you're not in the in the sigil and you can just heal people as they drop than if you're actually in the sigil and then you get to 1 HP.
Touch from afar. We must ensure the payload works.
That's another like horrible shift.
Yeah. Just remember that it's like it's like if you went on Lucio and you sped boost, but like you amp sped. Like you're just going in one
We must
direction,
ensure
so
the
think about the
payload's
direction you're going in.
progress.
Like you don't want to be going into walls. So you know that there's a wall here, but you fade into the wall. So
I-
think
like-
about your fade.
I thought I can fade into the doorway, but yeah.
Yeah, but even you saw where this mail comes from because you can see right when she throws it, you hear it come from the right. You hear it come from behind you, and then you see the outlines of it, and you see the Mei here, but you fade into it rather than away from it, which is what gets you killed. So awareness. So make sure that you're paying attention to where the mail is so that you can fade out of it. Even take an extra second because you're not gonna freeze instantly. Take and don't panic. Take 1 extra second to guarantee that you're going in the right direction and then fade.
Yeah.
So then you're not fading into a wall and then you're not getting frozen, and then you can maybe heal the Baptiste through it by throwing an orb at him and then pocketing him. So like, because your team's getting picks here. Your team just got 3 kills. If you have
Yeah.
Baptiste, even if you survive that and Baptiste doesn't, that is pretty much a
Wait.
1 fight.
For sure. Yes.
The payload is approaching
There was a
its
flaw in my
destination.
approach. Allow me to repair the damage.
Get in here!
Injured again.
Get on the immortality field. Step right up. Immortality bubbles now.
Just like the team carry it, right? Basically, the DPS carry at the end.
Yep. I mean, you were down there. You could have done much better if you just stayed alive. You gotta remember, like being alive is like you're gonna get more value out of being alive than you are out of being dead.
So my thought was just trying to so like I'm more comfortable playing Ana like at least point, but then like just keep playing. Yeah, I was trying to because I'm not sure like how to position Moira like at point A because I like
Regen up.
Yeah, on Moira here, you just always stay with your team. There's not really a reason to be leaving your team on Moira.
yeah.
Take your medicine. This is going to hurt.
أنا هاخد بالي منك.
Okay, very good nades. I'd say probably make sure that you're stepping away from your team a little tiny bit more when you're going for nades because they could have easily intercepted that on accident.
Yeah,
just-
right. That happens a lot of times.
Just like sidestep them, go to the side of the of the high ground, and then throw nade. It takes an extra second, but you get your nade off easier.
I've seen worse. You're going to live.
Spam jumping. Do we go for spam jumping?
Yeah. Somehow, yeah, I still did it.
Do you mind repeating that because your mic?
Oh, sorry. I was consciously trying to avoid it, but sometimes I just like I was still doing it. Yeah.
Take your medicine.
So I know Reaper was TP behind, but I wasn't sure like, where exactly.
Alright, so when we're nanoing targets, we need to be looking at what are they doing. A hog who's breathing away and running away is not in a good position to get nanoed. Because the fight hasn't really started yet. You want to you don't want to use the nano that incredibly early, especially when he's not next to them, because then they can just kite and back up.
Take your medicine.
Because the reason I gave out nano is is because I feel like we're losing the fight. I feel like they're pressing in. So I sort of wanted to. Yeah, that was such a like a not yeah like
Yeah.
we're oh I know this is not a good time yet.
مؤلم.
Yeah, because like if you look at what they do, they just kite back and run away from the hog, and then he can't do anything. So you got 2 picks, but I don't think that was because of the nano at all. Like I just think that nano could have been used better.
Bad guys.
Please move behind.
Second thing is like if we're going back to like the nano priority list,
Mm.
hog.
Only
Is-
when it's doing whole hog, right?
Yeah, like probably only during whole hog because it's so hard to get value out of like his primary fire.
Mhm.
With it, Pre had his ult there. That's probably better nano. Especially if you coordinate it. When you have
I'll
nano,
rest when the fighting is
you
done.
want to coordinate it and always call out who you're nanoing to, who like when you're doing it. Hey, I have nano this fight. I'm gonna nano you. If you're in if they're in chat, ask them to call for it themselves, so that way you're not getting in situations where the hog's running away, and then you're nanoing him because then a hog will call like, "Hey, I want it now."
Yep, for sure. I shouldn't jump. No jump. No jump. No jump. No jump.
See through the dragon's eyes.
Yep.
This is going to hurt.
So imagine if instead of spamming in a sleep to an Orisa who you know has fortify and who say could just shield and you would have a very hard time punishing, even if you landed this sleep, and they have 2 shields in a tiny little room. Imagine if you had that sleep for when there's a Reaper pushing your Baptiste and you land the sleep on the Reaper.
Mm.
Though that's the difference between a Grandmaster on a player and sorry, not even recalling what rank you're at. What?
Yeah,
Your
for sure.
Masters, right?
Yep.
Yep. So like
a
that's the
master.
difference between Masters on a player and a Grandmaster's play on a player is acknowledging, okay, this isn't a good time to use it. It would have been better if I saved onto it. So like when you see mistakes like this in your gameplay, you go, okay, like just as how you self-improve. You go, okay, what was the mistake? Like, what did I do wrong? There you would say, okay, well, I use sleeps and I don't have it, and then Baptiste dies. And then you go, okay, now what do I do next time? So you go, next time, maybe I won't spam it out. I'll hold on to it for a time that would be needed better. And then next time that you're...
And yeah, definitely.
Yep, and then next time you're in that same scenario, you put just a little bit extra brain power into thinking, okay, I'm not going to spam sleep here. I'm going to save it. And then that's how you improve at something.
Yeah. And then this is a fact. Like I wasn't like intended to drop. That was such a fast thing. I was trying to get to the edge of the thing and then yo.
Resistance.
But then like yeah, it was such a
Just be aware of your movement, like especially when you're close to edges. Be very very aware of like of where your feet are at, because otherwise then you die, and that's why you die. So like when you're close to edges, because then you have 3 people at critical health. Because
exactly
yeah. So just be very very careful of your movement when you're especially when you're close to edges or like close to enemies, that type of deal.
Yeah.
Science will reveal the truth.
See through the dragon's eyes.
For your own safety, greetings. The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Claim a hold.
It's
I will rebuild you.
Let's see a smile on
So right here, what's wrong with this positioning?
I can easily die to the high note.
Yep, and what would better positioning be?
Going to be like to the basic to cover on the left, right? Is it gonna be better just to the cover on the left?
Oh, sorry. Did I I think I talked to that person by push to talk.
Oh.
Yeah. So cover on the left or cover on the right.
Mm.
Because then you're not dying. Like if the Kree doesn't die to a headshot there, then you're not dying to that.
I require
Yeah.
assistance.
So yeah, just watch out for that. Make sure that you're paying attention to your positioning. Also on that, you don't want to stay on the high ground. You did drop, but you don't want to stay on the high ground because you don't have range and your tanks are all the way up.
Yeah.
Touch from afar.
See through the dragon.
This will improve your condition.
So like right now, like look at how much like kind of resource you're wasting, and during times where you could just be like pressing a little bit, W a little bit to try to like maybe damage the Sig on the right. So you're wasting resource, wasting time, wasting like really not doing accomplishing anything,
For your safety.
all because you're just spamming out resource. Did we talk about? I'm gonna scroll quick just so I can check to see if we talked
Yeah.
about this. No, we didn't. Okay, so are you interested in? Do you talk a lot in when you play?
I call out low targets and I call out every time when I get like flanked or get attacked. But I usually don't talk much more than those.
Okay, would
So
you?
I call low health targets and also
Okay.
whenever I need help.
Would you be interested in learning how to kind of learn different aspects of calling? I like to like it basically like a
Yeah.
few different aspects that I call like verbal carrying, how you can add all these up and then carry games.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So there's 3 different aspects to call outs. There is
Mhm.
shot calling, target calling, and ult tracking. So
Mm.
target calling is going to be the simplest one, and that's going to be just calling whatever you're shooting at. On Ana, I'd probably say on Ana, you're not gonna use this insane amount, but especially when you're on Moira, it's gonna be very good. Because on Ana, you're not necessarily shooting at things, and you can't necessarily see things all the time. But on Moira, whatever you're shooting at, you just call that out, and then your team can focus it. So you can. This is gonna be when you hear people go, Reaper, 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 Ana, 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 Monkey, 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 and then that
Yeah.
way people are focusing that target, and they're like kind of all shooting at it because that means that you're bursting them down faster, and they can't get healing.
Mm.
So that's gonna be like coordinate your team to focus things down faster. So then the next thing on the list is shot calling. So the first aspect of shot calling is you need to be paying attention to kill feed, because if you're paying attention to kill feed, then you know if which team is winning the fight.
Yeah.
So if you're up one person, that's an advantage.
First
If you're
W.
down,
Yeah.
yep, if you're down one person, then you're at a disadvantage. That doesn't mean the fight's won or lost yet. If you're up 2 people, unless like ultimates are involved, or it's overtime or something like that, that is most likely going to be a 1 fight. If you're down 2 people, then that's most likely going to be a lost fight. So what you need to be doing is paying attention to kill feed and
Yeah.
call that to your team so that
Mhm.
they know not to use ultimates and they know we can push aggressively. So you can say, no ults, we won. No ults, we
won.
lost. And then
Yeah,
that
yeah.
way you're not using 3 ultimates in a fight where you already won, or 3 ultimates in a fight you already lost. So you're gonna stop from over ulting because they might not be paying attention to kill feed.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
then what's next is, as soon as the fight's all done, during every single after every single fight, no matter if you won or lost, you should be pressing tab. And then what you're gonna do after you press tab is
Check
um,
out the name.
not-
And whether they switch the composition.
yeah, we're gonna talk about right now.
Mhm.
We're gonna talk about ult tracking. So we're gonna go.
Okay.
Basically, we're using a process of elimination to guess what they're gonna have. So pay attention to my crosshair because I'm gonna be, or sorry, my mouse, because I'm gonna be using as a demonstration. So
Okay.
top left is their enemy team. So without knowing their ultimates,
Mhm.
we're gonna because we can't see them. We're gonna go left to right,
Mhm.
and we're gonna say, last fight I saw or heard. We're not gonna say this out loud, but you're gonna think this in your head, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna say it out. You're gonna say, I saw or heard McCree use his ult, and I saw or heard Orisa use ult. So they don't have those ults.
Mhm.
I know that they just swapped to McCree, so they don't have McCree ult. I'm not sure if they used Brig, Moira, or Sigil. So you ask your team, did they use any of those? And they used Moira ult last fight.
Mhm.
and then you go, okay, so this fight they have Briggle and Sigil, and then that way your team is prepared for what they have, and you can better you can use ultimates like more efficiently. So we're going to talk about ult management in a second, but you can coordinate your ults better. You can prepare for what ults they're going to use. So that's overall, it's just more information that your team can work with. Then
Yep.
immediately after that, that should take like 10 seconds ish. Immediately after that, you do ult management. So you're gonna look at your team comp. So in tab, it's gonna be like the bottom one. You're gonna go, okay. So next fight, we have 4 ults, almost 5 ults. We're gonna have 5 ults. We don't want to use 5 ults because if we use 5 ults, then they're gonna come in the next fight and they're gonna have ults and we're not gonna have ults. So they win next fight.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna call what ults we want to use, and then this will also allow us to combo ults better. So we're gonna say, okay, next fight, we're gonna use Bap ult and then pull Dragon. So that way we're coordinating that we're using 2 ultimates instead of all 5, and we're also coordinating that we're gonna pull before the pull into the Dragon, so that we're getting that combo off effectively.
I see.
Scenarios where you see that, like where that helps immensely, is let's say you have a Nano Blade or a Zarya and a Hanzo.
Dragon. Yep.
Yep. So you have Grass Strike, and you have both ultimates, but then your Hanzo just whiffs off Dragon into nothing and gets 0 kills while your Zarya is alive and didn't ult, or your Zarya ults after Hanzo's dead in spawn. You're gonna see that a lot in ranked, and that's
Yeah.
because you're not coordinating it or calling it, and they're not paying attention to tab.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Definitely. So sometimes I do find teammates are more willing to call like these type of things out, and sometimes the team chat's pretty like silent, right? So yeah. So I guess when like there's no one calling out these things, I should be the one just
Yep.
trying to call the combos. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so like if you're doing that, like all of the above, that's where you get into like verbal carrying territory. When I add all this stuff into my gameplay, and I especially when I'm doing it in like Masters games, I'm doing it like if I like back when I smurfed, I did this stuff in like Platinum, and they basically like it's like how you get 5 shot caller endorsements, and everyone's going like, who like, dude, I love the calls. What do you do? Like, who are you? Because like it's so they're not used to it, and then you're just carrying the game because everyone's so coordinated. If your team can be coordinated and their team isn't, then you win the game.
Yep. 100%.
So instead of there, I'm just saying like this is that's the perfect time. So instead of just like
Press W. Yeah.
yeah, so like instead of right clicking or left clicking just randomly and not getting any value off of it, that's where you spam damage orbs while you're pressing tab and checking for ults and using your own ults, or coordinating these your own ults.
Yeah.
I recommend moving behind my barrier.
Because I can't hear if you like if anybody called this, but I bet that you probably overult and use more ults than is necessary just because you have 5.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think that might be the case.
Okay, so there goes one.
Touch from afar.
Let them
Allow
up.
me.
Make sure that when you're throwing orbs, that you're throwing them on a course that's not gonna get intercepted instantly. So when you throw this orb,
A
you
touch
place
from
your crosshair so
afar.
that's like right here, and then it's not hitting the cart and bouncing away. Because then you're not getting value off the orb. So just take that extra half a second to aim it.
Allow me.
Okay, so you used 1, 2, 3 ults. So you need to use any
No
more.
value. No value.
Yep, 4
At
ults.
will. Help me.
And then because nothing was coordinated, 5 ults, and then because nothing was coordinated, you just used 5 ults and no one's dead.
Exactly.
And then, okay, so you gotta kill now.
I will rebuild you.
I keep getting confused because I think that you're blue.
Moving behind my barrier.
I cast this forth.
But yeah, now next fight, you have 2 ults and they have 3 ults.
See
So you flipped the ult economy from
To
being in
their-
your favor
yeah.
to being in their favor because you over ulted.
Yeah.
Double
If this was a good team, so like if this was a team environment or this was like up in like the higher ends of Grandmasters,
Mhm.
then they would do what's called a dry fight and they wouldn't use any ults there. Or maybe they use one or 2 ults instead of 3 ults. And
Yeah.
then they are coming into this next fight with 5 ults when you have 2 ults. So they just they would have completely flipped that ult economy because of how bad our ult economy was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. When I see the replay, for sure. Like basically we overuse like three outs for no value at all.
your own safety.
Yep.
Get behind the barrier.
Join the Yeshu. Shohei
Regen burst activated.
I'm under attack.
So let's see, what did we use all of our healing on
I'm on-
already? So we never recovered our healing from last fight because
Yeah.
that could mean that we're not like good Moiras will very rarely running out of healing because they're balancing their damage and their healing.
Mm-hmm.
Not having resource could be a sign that we're not right clicking or damaging enough and we're just healing too much. Like here, like that's too much healing on the Baptiste, healing nothing, healing full HP targets again. Watch the health when you're healing. If targets are full, then you don't need to be healing because then you're wasting resource for when people actually need it, and you could be damaging instead. So now,
Yeah.
like we're healing full HP targets, and then we end the fight with this much health, with this much meter, and then we're starting the next fight with less than half of our meter.
Yeah.
I'm under attack.
You are advised to move behind my back.
Step Rider.
Double
Join the delay. A touch from afar.
Like I guarantee now that you're like thinking about that, you see how much of the time you're healing when it's
yeah.
not necessary.
Definitely. Yeah. When I see the replay now, I can see how like basically they can easily punish me for like not having. Yeah.
Go to a gladiator. Shohei Mahal.
Well, it's not really important that you're making the mistake. It's important that you're recognizing you made the mistake.
Yeah.
So now that you know that you made the mistake,
It's
So- now you can fix it. There, I'd say,
double kill.
I didn't. When you started ulting, there's a Reaper on your Orisa,
Surrender to my
And-
will.
and you just kind of ignore her, which
Double
she doesn't die, I don't
Yeah.
think, but that could have very easily ended badly because you didn't see if what happened to the Reaper. I think from like from my perspective, I
Mhm.
would be again standing behind the Orisa because if you're standing behind the Orisa or killing the Reaper too,
Yeah.
then you're
double
gonna be doing the same exact thing just healing at the same time.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah. I just like at that moment, I think I tunnel vision. I was seeing the both of their tank has like so little health. I think I can finish them. So like yeah, I think that was tunnel vision.
Got this. Don't screw it up.
So that orb isn't necessary when you see that there's people here. So when you see that there's already people in point, you heard Moira fade, you see her on the corner of your screen, and you see Sig here. This orb isn't necessary, and it just doesn't get you value, doesn't get you ult charge when you see that there's people here. Second thing is there's no reason for you to be pushed up this far. You should be back with your tanks
We
because
almost got this.
they
Don't
are
screw it up.
touching and you are pushed very far forward.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
are
should
you-
just probably leave Hanzo. Yeah. Yeah. You keep going. What do you want to say?
Hello. 10
Yeah,
seconds.
because I'm
We
pretty sure you
almost
die here.
got this. Don't
And you
screw
also
it up.
looks like you had 3 people walking back from the spawn, so this is basically Hanzo feeding right here. Like you guys should be probably backing up very far, waiting for your teammates to get back, because you had 3 people walking back from spawn. Look, it's just you, Anzo and the
And
Orisa,
Orisa, yeah.
and then you're pushed into their spawn when you don't have backup, and then you die here. Of course, you don't die here because this is Masters. I'm appalled at how many times you get away at 10 HP. But you can definitely see how that, like, I mean, you die there, but you can definitely see how that is a mistake, even if the mistake wasn't punished.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Like that's definitely like a not only dieable. That's like a for sure dying situation. Like,
Yep.
should they focus me like for 1 second? I'm dead.
We must all make.
For your own safety,
I will
get
rebuild
behind
you.
the barrier.
Touch from afar.
So, right here, we probably don't want to drop until our tanks drop.
For your own safety,
I will rebuild you.
Or at least our
Touch
Orisa
from
drops, because
afar.
right here,
Mhm.
we don't have shielding, and then also half of your team's up on the high ground, so you're forced to try to heal them while they're on the high ground, and then also, look, if you look at your health, you're at 50 HP, because you don't have a shield. So because you dropped, I mean, like, I'd honestly say that's the Orisa's, that's probably the Orisa's fault, because she should be dropping, because Cart's almost there, but
Mm.
just because, like, your teammates are bad doesn't mean there's not something that you could be doing better. So what you could have done was wait for the Orisa to drop and then drop after her,
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than dropping first, expecting her to do it. Because, like, if you're expecting people to be at your level, then that's why you're gonna stay at the level. Like, if you're, or sorry, if you're, this is kind of a better phrase, like phrasing of it, but like, if you're trying to get up to Grandmaster and you see yourself as a as kind of a blooming Grandmaster player, but you're still relying and expecting other Masters players to play at your level or think like you, then that's why you're gonna stay at that rank, is because you're relying on people at that rank.
Mm, I see. So at that moment, like even though this is a cover, that's like way too risky, right? Because I thought like there's like a big cover here, and then the Roadhog went down. I can you may probably use him as a
Yeah,
as
but
a
then you
body,
also,
body block. Yeah.
when if you look at where you're at right now, you're not utilizing that cover. You're standing right in a line of sight of two different people.
Mm.
So and you stay here. So instead of standing close to the wall, you're still kind of standing in the open with like open sight lines. So even though you're technically behind cover, you're not utilizing it correctly.
I see.
for your safety,
Okay, and then you lose the fight.
Yeah.
you are advised to move behind the
Find the lash.
I need a doctor.
Such a bad habit, like.
Tell me how this feels. This will heal you. I'm restoring you.
See through the dragon's eyes.
You are advised greetings.
The power of
30
destruction.
seconds remaining.
Keep them locked down and we win.
I recommend.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps up our time for this session.
Yep.
So, do you have any before I like do all the end credit set type stuff? Do you have any questions before we wrap up?
Not particularly. So while you talking through the game, like also like showing this, I think I sort of like I understand like where like the biggest problem is as well. So yeah, not particular question for now, because I think if I need for sure, I'll probably just do another order like maybe like a month later.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like if you ever have any questions that just kind of pop up, like let's say you're looking through the notes, the replay, and you're just kind of like, I didn't really understand what you said here. Or you just have any other questions about Moira in general, Ana in
Mhm.
general, the game in general, meta, that
Mhm.
type of deal. Just feel free to message me, and I'll just like hit you up with a response. As long as it doesn't take an hour to answer the question,
sure,
we
for
should be
sure.
fine.
Yeah.
So besides that, I'm gonna stop the recording real quick.